Hello, BookTube. Well, you can see I have a guest. This is my old frenemy, Deb.
Hello, BookTube.
Deb, once again, last time you appeared for Manatee Monday, we had to start by you apologizing to all of my imaginary BookTube friends, and you owe them an apology again today. Care to
I did.
maybe give them a horrifying thumbnail sketch of why we're doing Manatee Monday on Tuesday instead of Monday? Actually, the priority being care to exonerate me?
Yeah, it was not Steve's fault at all. We set up a Manatee Monday for yesterday. He sent me the link. I could not figure out for the life of me how to do it, even though I had done it the week before. And it was very frustrating because also my dog, Lucky, really adores my brother. My brother was over mowing the lawn. So Lucky was yipping and yapping, and I was really frustrated. And finally, I was just like, let's do it tomorrow. So, and today it went off without a hitch.
The only person yipping and yapping in this video will be me.
Yeah.
Now, those of you who are unfamiliar with Manatee Monday, this is when I serve up what the people want. It doesn't matter that I make 15 incredibly erudite and sexy videos a day. The only thing they want is more Deb. So that's what we're going to give you in 3 segments. My aches and pains, my stories, and my books. So we're going to start off with aches and pains. What's bugging you today, Mrs. D?
2 things. One thing we have in common, one ache and pain or uncomfortable, whatever, I think we have in common, which is the freaking humidity of today.
I thought you were going to say menstruation, but I'll take the humidity.
You what?
I thought you were going to say menstruation. so take the humidity. That's definitely an upgrade.
No, you're way past that, Steve.
Oh boy, though, I couldn't agree with you more. 90% humidity. Day after day after day after day. The one day last week when the humidity went below 60% felt like you were on a different planet. It felt like you just want to go outside and yell thank you over and over again all day long. And that's not going to happen again.
No, we've got a few more days of this high humidity, apparently.
It's 90% humidity now in the heat. It's going to be 90% humidity tomorrow and the next day in the build up to rain. It's going to be 90% humidity during the rain, and it's also going to be 90% humidity when the rain clears out. The rain is not taking the humidity with it for the first time, well, since the Devonian period.
It's just miserable. Those of you, well, I think probably most of the people watching are dealing with heat and humidity, perhaps.
Yes.
Or at least the heat. The second thing is the allergy season has been miserable. And so for a lot of today I'm all through here, I'm all stuffed. And, but also it's been in my ear. Like it's making my ear do weird echoey things.
Allergies can go into your ears?
Well, I don't think the allergy goes into the ears, but it closes off. It somehow affects your eustachian tubes. Is that what they are? Is that how it's pronounced?
Tubes again.
Huh?
You know what? Our conversations always go back to tubes of some kind.
Well, that's what I was told when I went to the doctor anyway, is that it was probably being affected by allergies. It's just this one ear, though. And it's kind of echoey. And on days when I don't have problems with like allergy, stuffingness, it works like, pretty much a normal ear.
Yeah, you remember our co-worker, a Scotswoman? I think her name was Karen. She was from Scotland. She worked at the store for a while. I don't remember much about her except that she had an adorable dog and that she packed up and left America because of the humidity. She just could not.
Oh, wow.
She was told ahead of time it can get hot and it can get humid there, and she didn't even know what humidity was. Then she got here and realized that humidity means that even a day whose heat would otherwise be very pleasant is going to make it hell on earth, where you go outside, you stand on the sidewalk without doing anything, and you start running sweat. And it causes her to just pack up and leave.
Yeah. I think she was before my time, but I would not be surprised if somebody could not stand the humidity because it's just awful.
Yeah.
It's awful to exist in when any movement at all causes you to, you know, just sweat pouring off.
Yeah, it's
But
rough.
of course, being female, I don't sweat, I perspire, but like a delicate flower.
I
That's
think it's
me.
gross no matter what. My own ache and pain is not as you've named a couple that are really, really serious. The humidity is just awful. And allergies, I haven't had a flare up of allergies in years. I don't know why that is. I don't know what it is that I'm allergic to or maybe not allergic to, but I haven't had one in years. So yours are much more serious. Mine is a true old fart ache and pain complaint. I have a weird divot on the top of my head. I can't figure out what it is. It's a little divot on the top of my head. The closest explanation, it doesn't hurt, isn't gathering lint or anything. The closest explanation I can come up with, I Googled this, is that when you're in your 20s, that's when the plates of your head fuse. And that's right around the time for me.
Oh, I
That
see.
might do it. That might be the only reason I can come up with. Is that the plates
That
of
your
my
plates might
skull,
be fusing.
they're finally fusing. And that's causing some sort of divot. It's really weird though. When
You're gonna have to rein in your brain now because your brain's been growing this whole time.
it can't keep growing anymore.
And now it's done.
When I rub my hand over my skull, or somebody else does, there's no longer a smooth topography. Very disturbing.
That is very, very weird.
I don't know which part of that you
Now,
feel.
how deep is this divot?
I don't know, a little bit, maybe a fifth of an inch.
Would it hold a drop of water?
It would hold a drop of water. Yeah, I know this because I tried it. What if it keeps growing? What if it keeps growing? You laugh now, but how will you feel on a Manatee Monday when I have two heads? You've been having a hard time getting a word in edgewise all this time. Imagine if I had two mouths.
None of us want to imagine anything like that. But see, I was imagining, what if your head is about to cave in, not split down the middle?
So you could get your claws on my insurance money.
Yeah. Well, I have many policies over the centuries.
Dream on.
Yeah.
My head is not going to cave in. You know why? Because it's completely full of brains. That's why.
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
I'll accept.
Sure that we have 0 viewers. Let's move on to what is your story this week?
But maybe you'll get a bunch of viewers who are like, Steve, I have a divot in my head too, and we'll find out what it is.
You are still listening. I don't want to know about your divots. It doesn't matter though, because I tell them I don't want to hear about your X, Y, and Z, and I get flooded with comments about it anyway, or comments and pictures. Where someone will send an email. They know exactly how to play me. I swear, they play me like a Zamboni. They know exactly how to play me. They'll send me an email saying, here's this gross subject that you told us not to tell you about that I want to tell you about. And also, here's a picture of my cute dog.
Aw. Aw, that's adorable. And you got a cute dog right behind you there. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's looking right at us, BookTube.
She's a little bit on the disgruntled side because the humidity hurts her worse than it hurts me.
Yeah.
Got to keep that in mind, you dog people. You evolved on the African savanna specifically to run around and move in weather like this. That's why you have thick hair on the top of your head and a divot.
Well, some of us do.
Have fur anywhere else. You have fur on the top of your head because it's between you and the sun. You evolved.
I have very thick hair. Did you know that? Yeah. Very thick hair.
It's gross. What's the matter, baby? Are you going to give us some Frida yoga?
Oh. Hey, Frida. Oh, she's like, no.
Oh, this is Frida. She does this every day. Frida yoga, right to her toe tips.
It's cute.
Anyway, your story.
My story is.
Pray for this week. Huh? They're going to try to avoid just yelling about one particular person.
Well, my story involves that person. So what? I'm trying to wrap my head around a political party whose leader would say something like, they did it to us, we're going to do it to them.
Yeah.
Like, how do you hear that and be like, yeah, that's the mature person I want in charge of our government?
His political platform for 2024 is I am your retribution. I'm going to
They
make
do
you all.
it to us. We're going to do it to them. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, which is his
I'm
stead.
embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for half this country or a third of this country that thinks that that's a thing, like that is a good way to choose a candidate.
Embarrassed by them. I'm embarrassed. That's like I told you years ago. This is the one thing that I hate him for more than anything is that he revealed that these people are here. And
Yeah.
we ignore that anymore. We can't pretend it's just a lunatic fringe. He shone a light on the fact that half this country is insane and would be perfectly okay as the servants, as the slaves of a master, rather than the citizens in a democracy. They'd be perfectly okay with that, provided that one family member they really can't stand really gets his. If it bothers that one family member, I'm willing to sign over my freedom and my kids' freedom. Oh, there we're yelling about it.
Yep. So that's my beef this week.
Well, my story is also connected, of course. Those of you who find this a little one note, Deb and I have seen a lot of American politics go on with Bridge. A lot
Yeah.
of American politics.
And it has not been like this.
It's not. That's just what I was going to say. I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, if we had done Manatee Monday in 1973 instead of 2023, we would not have been talking this way. We would not have been talking this way. Our story would have been something else. This guy tried to violently overthrow the government of the United States, and half the country's fine with that.
Well, that's the thing too, is like I hear people being like, well, where would we be if the revolutionaries hadn't, revolted against the British government? And it's like, yeah, but what if we had lost? What do you think would have happened to those revolutionaries? They wouldn't be facing life in prison. They'd be facing immediate death.
Yes.
Like,
When he says they did it to us, we're going to do it to you, the only way you can hear that and be okay with it is if in your mind you're thinking, well, yeah, okay, so if Kamala Harris tells her followers, her rabid fans of her rabid thousands and thousands of followers, march on the Capitol and fight like hell, or you're not going to have a country anymore, and they chant hang Mike Pence or whoever her vice president is, and she says nothing about it. The only reason that makes sense is if she does all that and we prosecute her. If you do all that, you should get prosecuted. It's not anyway. My story is adjacent.
mm-hmm.
It's a creature in Trump orbit named Sidney Powell. Do you remember?
I do remember Sidney Powell. Yeah.
That crap crazy fake lawyer, Sidney Powell. I remember when she was on TV talking with a bunch of these goons, just complacently saying, well, this is the first state we're going to blow up. And then there's the next one we're going to blow up. I don't like the results in any of these states, so I'm gonna throw them all out. I don't approve of these things, and I know what's what. I know what happened. You don't know what happened, but I do. I'm just going to destroy this one state, then I'm going to casually destroy this other state. All this information, all of this proof is there. I remember thinking, that was years ago, Deb. This is years of our lives. I remember thinking,
That's the other thing.
I want this person more than anyone crushed under a wheel. I want this person crushed out of human existence. I'm not even talking about jail. I'm talking about I want them crushed out of existence. Not a penny, not a person, no backing, no seriousness, no nothing. I don't want them to say another word. Just put them on a wheel and annihilate them. And it looks like that's going to happen.
It's pretty harsh, Steve.
Huh?
I can't get behind that, but definitely.
Something about that complacency. Just, yeah, I know it's a federal election. You're all going out to stand all day in the sun and vote. I know that it's your most sacred right. I know that you're a free citizen, but I don't like this is the first state whose results I'm going to throw out, and then there's the next one that I'm going to throw out, and I'm completely insane, but I've got open access to the Oval Office day or night. Something about that just and you notice the tone that all of these weirdos are taking. This millenarian tone they're taking is because they know the only chance they have not to die in prison is to be pardoned by the guy who told them what to do.
True. True. All right, we're just going to put that to bed.
That's my story. Is this person, this horrible Sidney Powell Kraken person? For some reason, she bothered me more than any of these other clowns. So the idea that she is being ground up under the wheels of the law, the idea that she might face 18 years in prison. I know it won't happen. I know that it can't, but just thinking.
Right.
But anyway, now we move on to books.
Books. A much happier topic.
The book section last week caused the most emails that I got about you. I got a ton of emails about you. A ton of people saying, I know I left a comment on your video, or I don't want to leave a comment on your video, but please have Deb back. Barnes & Noble all over again. It was the Cafe Kids all over again.
They all adore me, Steve.
The number one comment that I got about the book section last time was that you described not really a reading slump, but a reading meh. I am reading. It's not a reading slump. I haven't stopped reading.
Right.
I feel the joy of it at all. I feel like I'm just going through the motions. I could put it down and never remember it again. That bothered a lot of people, and also a lot of people echoed that, said they have felt that way from time to time.
Yes.
So the question from books is, are you still feeling that way?
Yeah, I still am. So I did some reading this week, and I almost feel like it's maybe like the way a lot of people read who say they enjoy reading is, it's like, yeah, I read here and there. I read if I have nothing better to do. That kind of.
That's the majority. The majority.
Yeah, I think that's how most people read. That's not how I used to read. I used to read like it was oxygen, and now I'm like, yeah, I can take it or leave it. And I don't want to be that way because that's not who I am. And I do notice if I go a significant period of time without reading, it does affect my my psychological self. Like I feel a little not right if I go for a while without reading. Like if I go for a week without reading anything, then I'll start feeling it.
You speak without reading?
I have, yeah.
What is
I know, right? And I don't know where the break happened.
Did you do any reading between now and last Manatee Monday?
I did. I am now this amount through the Sylvanians. I'm a little more than halfway. And I also was thinking that you had sent me another Phoebe Atwood Taylor book, a second one. And I was thinking, this weather right now, I need to read it before it gets, into fall, cold, whatever, because it perfectly fits summer. Except I cannot locate it to actually show people what it looks like.
Now, does it perfectly say summer because it's Cape Cod?
I think so. I think it.
Well, I'm not sending a Deb care package this week because it's going to be 95 degrees. So
yeah, don't.
Grotesque to even think about 95 degrees, 90% humidity. So
yeah, any amount you cannot be outside in it.
Yeah, any amount you can not be outside is kind of the goal. Plus, you have plenty of books.
Oh, I'm not running out of books anytime soon.
It's something else. It's the lack of fire.
It is. Or I could pick up a book and say, read, 5 chapters of it, and then pick up another book and read a bunch of chapters of it.
Is it possible that it's just not the right books? That you just need to hit something that gets you going?
I don't know, but what is that going to be? What is going to be the book that I can't put down?
I'll keep trying. I'll keep hurling stuff at the wall, see if maybe one of them does it. Well, I have a bunch of books to show.
Okay.
I reread this Gloria Dickey's book, Eight Bears, which came out
Okay.
in July, came out last month. It's a chapter devoted to each of the remaining bear species in the world and their history, their natural history, their folklore, and of course their dire future conservation-wise. It would be a bit of a downer of a book, but I really enjoyed it. I love the way she writes about these monstrous creatures, most of which I've met face to face in the wild. So once you do that, you're less likely to think, oh, the majestic spirit of the wild. The majestic spirit of the wild wants to eat my beetles. It doesn't feel quite the same. Then I reread this. This is a graphic novel. Look at that, huh? A hand grasping a gold ring.
Okay.
But it's not. It's the Ring of the Nibelung. It's the Nibelungenlied. Only this is a graphic novel drawn by the comic book artist P. Craig Russell. So this
Oh,
is
nice.
Wagner's Ring on stage. If you were to lose your senses and go to see Wagner's Ring on stage, this is what you would be seeing. There's Brunhild the Viking, or the Valkyrie. This is a whole lot better way to go through this story than either the ancient German epic or Wagner. This was just absolutely wonderful. I had it tucked away on a bottom shelf. I don't know how it got there.
Is that an old book? Like an older book, or is it new?
No, this is a deluxe graphic novel that was done 2002. And
Okay.
it's completely, this is not you don't know comics, but this isn't Marvel and this isn't DC. So
Well, I have heard of those two names,
when it was somebody else. It was Dark Horse.
those two brands.
When it was in the comic shop, I missed it completely. I didn't even see this was a bunch of issues, and I missed those issues. And then
Nice.
some saw this. I think I'd praise the artist. P. Craig Russell is a terrific artist. I don't know if you can make it out from the stuff that I saw. Look at that. There's Odin. Look at that. How amazing.
Wow.
P. Craig Russell also has a tendency in his artwork to well, let's just say his young men. uh, they're pinup material. But this was so good, just so good. Then I read a contemporary novel, which I seldom do. I read this, Penance, by Eliza Clark. Can't remember if I sent you the advance copy of this.
That does not look familiar.
This is the finished copy. Weird thing. I'm going to write. I think I'm going to. I almost never review fiction. You know, why would I review fiction when Sam is out there reviewing fiction? I mean, what am I going to do? Do a better job? I don't think so. But it's possible that I could do a crankier job than he does. He's so calm and kind to the things he reviews. I really enjoyed this. In a way, I really enjoyed it. Made me think about what contemporary fiction is, as these things always do. It isn't a meat and potatoes story, as these things never are, but still. And just one more, the reading of contemporary fiction sent me right back to my home territory, which is the Roman Empire.
Oh, yeah.
And not just the Roman Empire. This book is set during the reign of the Spanish emperors and the Antonines. This is set during the height of the Roman Empire, where Tom Holland just examines what war was like at that time.
And that's nonfiction.
Nonfiction, and it features prominently one of my 5 guys. It features the Roman Emperor Trajan, who conducted 2 major wars during his time on, wearing the purple. Kept the wars well away from the Roman population. They were fought well away from Italy, and they brought back enormous amounts of money. It's just frustratingly we don't know as much about them as we'd like to know. His chief engineer wrote a memoir that was 10 books long, 10 chapters long. The head of his army wrote a memoir that was like 20 chapters long, 20 scrolls long. It would be a long book. He himself wrote a memoir about these two wars. Not a word of any of that lives. And this was a guy who, height of Roman power. Trajan was the Roman emperor who oversaw the empire at its greatest territorial expanse. All those people busily copying manuscripts in his own library. There was a Trajan library. There was an Ulpian library that he established and had rooms of people just copying out stuff that he wrote all day long, and none of it survives.
Don't you wish you could go back in time and read these?
Yeah. Yeah. Trajan made a beautiful library. It's just a gorgeous two-winged thing. Multi-floored, beautiful windows open to the open air on all floors, hanging plants from the ceiling, gardens, and nice peristyles with little fountains on the ground floor, full of books we don't have. What I wouldn't give. I mean, the reason I'm describing it is because it would have been a lovely day anyway. It would be a lovely thing to go and see anyway. But talk about busily copying. My God, I'd be using my iPhone to take pictures of every page. Priority's sake,
I love that. I love that image.
I wouldn't be photographing Trajan's memoir. I wouldn't be photographing any of the books that I just mentioned. I wouldn't be doing that. Much as I want to know, he waged a war in Parthia. It sounds really fascinating, but I wouldn't. If I had a limited time, I would be photocopying, whatever you want to call it, all the plays of Sophocles, all the plays of Aeschylus, all the plays of Euripides. Imagine we have a tiny handful of plays by Aeschylus. We don't know if we have his King Lear. No idea. The odds are drastically against it. I would just photocopy all of those. That's what I would do.
I imagine you could read your way through the entire library, being you.
I could. Sure.
Like,
happy to.
Penance.
I don't know what I would for boring people about it, since YouTube didn't exist. I guess I could just put a box in the square, stand up on it, and start talking to people about things they haven't read and don't want to read. I would love, we have lots and lots of lists of plays that great Greek playwrights wrote that we don't have.
Right.
I'm just concentrating on, like Aeschylus, for instance. I'm concentrating on him. How nice it would be, instead of a collected Aeschylus taking up a book this big, how nice would it be if we had 100 plays by Aeschylus? And I'm concentrating on Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. But how do I know that Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides aren't Thomas Kidd, Thomas Nash? How do we know that Shakespeare isn't unrepresented completely, that we don't know who he is at all? And that we're dealing with three also rans and just elevating them because it's all we've got.
Right.
Those are my books, a fraction of my books. Been reading lots of Conan for book 2. Be reading lots of other stuff, but those are my books. And YouTube tells me that we're running out of time.
Oh, it goes so fast.
On our couches, we're both wicked old. We both have old-fashioned paintings behind us.
What is the subject of both of our paintings?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We're both on couches. We're both got scrofula. We're both old and disheveled. We both have paintings in the background. We both have poofy little dogs. The only thing, all that's missing is that you don't have a divot in your head.
That I know of, because I have super thick hair.
You don't have to keep that in, you know. I used to have super thick hair, and then it went away.
Yeah, well, I hope mine doesn't.
You know why it went away? It was burned on the sheer activity of my brain.
Oh, I thought it was stress caused by knowing me.
No, that's a whole bunch of other things. That's where my goiter comes from.
Maybe I'm responsible for that divot.
Could be. I'll call it Deb's divot.
Deb's divot. Mariana's Trench. The Mariana Trench. I have the divot.
Aside from how embarrassing the two of us are just in general, we always used to tell the young people at the store, you know, sorry, this is just the way we are. And horror of horrors. This is the way you're going to be too in about 100 years. But the only embarrassing thing about this is that I revealed the fact that I actually did see whether or not it could hold a drop of water. I actually did do that experiment in the bathroom. I feel now a little embarrassed that I did. I wanted to know how deep it was, and it's hard for me to tell. So there you go.
That's hilarious, Steve.
Anyway, I don't want to cut off in mid-word like we did last time. So I want to end this Manatee Monday, going up on a Tuesday. We did this without a hitch this time. So maybe Manatee Monday can happen next week.
Maybe next week I'll remember how to do it.
You know what I want for the comment section of this video? If you could all control yourself and not just leave comments saying, yay, Deb, yay, Deb. If you could all control yourself and not leave comments like that. Instead, what I want is, what books can you recommend to Deb to change this no man's land that she's in? She is not in a book slump. She is not in a reading slump. She's not reading. Just not, it's not oxygen. What books can you recommend? I mean, you up there in the wilds of Maine, you have access to a retail bookstore. I looked it up online. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
To a library as well?
I would, yes, but I don't have, like, I'm not a resident here yet, so I don't.
Oh, I meant, oh, well, okay. I guess I was asking if your menfolk allow you to go to the library.
Yeah, I can slip out occasionally. Leave a pillow under my sheets, and
Because Deb's menfolk are so protective of the women in the household that they're not allowed to leave anywhere except in Purda and with an armed escort. It's a Sharia compound up there in Maine.
yes, because what happened there? Because one winter it was so icy we were not allowed to leave the house. My brothers were like, "We'll come over, we'll get your mail, we'll take care of everything. You just stay inside."
That's the only reason that I joke about it, is because it originated out of love.
Yes.
That's kind of dorky and funny. Is that you live on a Sharia compound that was created out of love.
That's right. It's really not that I'm in a book slump. It's that my menfolk don't want me learning stuff. So
nobody recommend Virginia Woolf, Mary Wollstonecraft. Let's forget about Camille Paglia. We're not recommending Gertrude Stein. Instead, what are some books that she might want to consider? You're always up for a list like that, right?
yeah. Oh yes, definitely. Definitely so.
Well, then
And BookTube,
let's
I
wrap.
love you.
I don't love you. I despise you all. They know better than that too. I feel that this is just awful. I've recreated the Barnes & Noble information desk only for thousands of people instead of hundreds. Anyway.
That's true. That's true. This is what it was like, folks.
It is kind of what it was like.
What it is.
When I were in the middle, if I was in the middle of a long, rousing conversation with some coworker and a customer came up and said, I'd say, do you mind?
No, I was thinking more of a manager swooping in and saying, "Get back to work or you're all fired."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, time, if a manager did that, I would also say to them, do you mind?
You would. You were sassy pants.
But anyway, let's
I'd wet myself and hurry away to put books away.
Let's stop recording so we don't get caught in mid.
Yes.
So
And we'll see you next Monday.
Monday we're hoping on. Yes, indeed.
Next Monday we're hoping. Fingers crossed.